Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Speed Bry Banters. Dintho tse kgonang fela o bue ka tsona when you're around friends, things that will definitely not even make it to the media. Some of them they do, but the conversations and the solutions that you have don't really make it. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mohau. I want to talk about something that has been in people's space, but we tend to somehow find, I like picking up things and just connecting dots. So in 2007, Ntate Thuso Motaung and his wife Mamunta Motaung were charged with fraud, money laundering, and copyright infringement by SABC. And they said that SABC felt like Ntate Thuso has swindled them out of 32 million worth of airtime. This was that famous case here, Power Mix. And the crimes court, commercial crimes court, went out, froze everything aneng anale yona. I remember reading stories, and I also remember that he was represented by Ntate Zola Majavu as well. Remember that, just this picture of them outside of the court, and the difficulty that he was expressing when he was going through this thing, when hana ba fitla ba kena banka each and everything ba sia fela di bethe le diaparo tsa bana tsa sekolo. The difficulty of him a kgone ho tswa a tsamaye, getting the contact ho metswalle, people who were not even picking up his calls. Because remember, during this time, this was when even other people that were inside the SABC, who were working inside the very same radio station, Lesedi FM, were colluding or even coming up with additional charges. And during this time, he had lost employment. During this time, he was stopped to make business, and some of his houses around South Africa were frozen. He was only left probably with one house to live. Now, we move again to 2021, but before we get to 2021, we also learned later, that few months if not 2 years later, I still need to get my research right, that the case were dropped, all the charges were dropped, and one of the people that were accused here in this case, by the name of Ntatwe Joshua Ramme, went on to sue SABC for 18 million. Ntate Thuso was reinstated mosebetsing. Me Mamunta was employed on an administrative role by SABC. The damage that was caused, I am not sure if we realized it, and if they didn't have representation, it's Ntate Zola Majavu would have gotten the justice that they've gotten. Then we move to 2021. We have the famous Ntate Dr. Tumi, the one who sings, the one who we all love. And in 2021, in the midst of us really confused ka COVID, yena le mosadi wa Gaugelo were arrested, right? Arrested because they were arrested for fraud, on charges of fraud, probably corruption and money laundering, probably. And this happened when people were starting to say, those COVID corruption cases, the scandals. But this case on its own created a buzz, because National Lottery Commission or funds have been looted for so long, and nobody has ever had the guts to stand up and say something to them. Those who are running and those probably who have left the institution. Nobody has the guts to go fight them. So we're talking now on the second case, where a person has been falsely accused, and later the charges were withdrawn. And a year later, the charges were withdrawn after Dr. Dumi has been seen in the media as someone who is corrupt, who is somehow fraudulent. Now, this week, October 2022, we just heard of the case of our beautiful sister Terry Pheto, the lady who brought us an Oscar back in South Africa. the one black lady whom we are giving ourselves so much pride in ourselves to say we might have not made it, but one of us went out there and made it. You understand? So someone like that right now is finding themselves in something of this nature, where there will be charges that will be thrown recklessly to you, and because you are someone who is famous, you will get to lose business, your house is taken, business accounts and bank accounts are frozen. Now here's the situation: the damage that keeps on being done on this re patala jwang. How do we repair this damage, and is it okay, is it just for people to continue being dragged and having go through media like this, all to find out that a year later that they did not even have a charge to respond to? Is this a new way of our law enforcement agencies of trying to, play to the gallery and create an impression like they are fighting corruption when we really know that they don't, but in the process they would damage and ba senye maphelo a batho? There's a case right now that happened in Krugersdorp where 8 women were raped by a countless number of men, and that sent the entire country into a tailspin, only to find out that less than a month later those charges are going to be dropped. This is very concerning. It's concerning because we have a public opinion that affects business decisions, and people's lives are affected, which includes kids inside here. And later, what is it that we do have? It's an apology, or it's what? Is this a new way and a toxic way of, putting people to account, but at the very same time let them try so long that their name and their credibility can get to be questioned? And whenever they would get the fight to come back, they would some of them don't even get the chance. So there was something that Dr. Sumi said um, when the charges were dropped. He said, handing ourselves to the cops was not an admission of guilt, but we are thankful of the support from the public and the family. So right now it's a time where people like to cancel, like to make decisions and decide on what is it that people are, and just judge them without knowing if this is a real fact. I have just given you two different cases where something similar was done. Cases were brought, media was used to tarnish an image of a person, and later, with all the damages that were done, the only thing that the prosecuting authority can say was that this particular person did not have a case to answer to. What about the damage that has been done? Some people don't even bother to go back and find out if that person was really. I'm telling you right now, there are people who are still thinking that Dr. Tumi is fraudulent because they still remember that headline that went out. The damage will not be enough to repair all the lies that had been told and the lives that have been broken. I think it's about damn time that we start taking responsibilities for those of us who are in power, be it in media, be it in government, be it in any other sphere, to ensure that whenever we are dealing with issues of justice, especially right now in politicking times where everything is up for grabs, they don't care whether it's your child, whether it's your future, whether it's, your ability or talent. We use it to get ahead. It's still linked. What I'm saying right now is still linked to what I said in my previous video, that let us be aware of toxic ways in which that we are using to publicize and marketing our own work. Now we would have state entities that are being used to actually have to deal with real questions. Here are questions: who and what, or who has been arrested for all the rot that has been taking place in the National Lottery Commission, or if I'm phrasing it right in terms of the department that I'm talking about. Who has actually went to jail? Who has went and actually not only got charged in grand style where there's media there, but who has actually got charged and convicted and is in jail right now? The question needs to go straight into the House of National Lottery Commission to say, you guys are giving away money that is not properly verified, and right now we are finding that every case that we're going out there to try to go to repute this money, we get egg on our face. We need to find out that. But also we need to find this new style of grandstanding and just putting the names of people whenever you want to make a case. If you have a